Howdy everyone, Dr. Neeragav here. Let's talk about windowing function. So I placed two corner reflectors about 20 centimeters apart, meter 55, meter 75-ish. And what you see now is the picture of no windowing, or rectangular window if you will. That's how we call it in the papers, but it's practically FFT without windowing. In radar we use windowing functions to suppress side lobes. In before or pre the range FFT and the Doppler FFT that we do in FFTW scheme. And let's see how it looks like. If I click on the Hanning window, for example, then you can see the window, the FFT result after windowing. You can see that the main lobe height is suppressed. This is what we pay for reducing side lobes in windowing function. But also, you can see that it's on the expense of, it's suppressed on the expense of enlarging our resolution. So the resolution is worse. You can see that this peak is wider than this peak. Okay, and the resolution is worse. We suffer resolution. Can we improve that? Yes. So in Aleph, we have developed some fusion between the windowing function, and if I press AWN, this is Aleph windowing, n is the number of windowing function. That's the fusion that we do. For now, it's just rectangle and hand. If I click on Hamming as well, it will fuse also the Hamming. So let's click AWN and let's zoom in. You can see here that the height is still, so to speak, following the Hanning window, but now it's clearly showing that our window has good resolution, better resolution than the Hanning window alone. Okay, that's fusion between Hanning window and rectangular window. If I click also Blackman-Harris, you can see that it follows more the Blackman-Harris scheme, but in terms of resolution, it's much better. Let's remove the hand so we can see it clearly. You see that it's much better. The resolution is preserved, but we still lose some dBs here in the height. Okay, let's see what's happening if we take, for example, another window function that we developed here in Aleph, and we call it AW, Aleph windowing. And okay, so now things are getting more interesting. You can see here that the windowing function mainlobe is still preserving or following the rectangular window, actually. But we zoom out, you can see that the side lobes are a little bit more noisy than, for example, the Blackman-Harris, but it's still suppressing side lobes quite substantially. So, for example, here is the peak that we see also in the Blackman-Harris spectrum, or here is a peak that we see also in the Blackman-Harris spectrum, and in our spectrum, or after windowing, our windowing function, you can see this peak clearly here. This peak is equivalent to this peak in the rectangular window, which is barely noticeable because of the side lobes, the high side lobes of the rectangular window. So even though it's noisy, on average, it is suppressing the side lobes, kind of like the other window, Blackman-Harris. For example, hand. Let's put a hand here. You can see here that we still gain some dB in the main peak, in the main lobe over hand, but we still suppress the side lobes, and we can detect small targets as well. For example, this target here, that is quite suppressed in the hand spectrum, we can see it clearly in our spectrum. Okay, and the same for the target here. So this is a demo of windowing function, as well as what my company Aleph is proposing in terms of IP that we sell in the industry. Okay, so let's see what happens if I take the further target here, this one, and I put it closer to this target. And let's see what happens there. Let's remove the hand window. Let's remove the hand window. Let's remove the Aleph window, and let's stick with the rectangular window for now. And I will now get out of the frame. I will take this corner reflector. I will drive it closer to this corner reflector, and we'll see what happens. All right, so you see clearly that in the rectangular windowing spectrum as well as AW, the Aleph windowing spectrum, you can see clearly these two targets. They're very close to each other, maybe 10 centimeters apart, maybe less even, maybe 7 centimeters apart. But in the Blackman-Harris window, you cannot clearly see these two targets. It's fused together into one thick main lobe. That's the problem with windowing in general. It, especially Blackman-Harris, this has wider type main lobe. Okay, so both the rectangular window as well as AW Aleph window have successfully discriminated between these two close targets. But with the AW case, the side lobes are attenuated, unlike in the rectangular case. So it's kind of like a fusion between the rectangular for the main lobe and another window for the side lobes. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. And if you have questions about windowing functions or what Aleph can, my company Aleph can give you, let me know. Hit me up in the in the comment section or just reach out in a DM. All right. Until next time. Ready about.